All right, good evening, everyone. We are getting started with our presentation here. If I can figure out where my share screen went. Okay, there we go. All right. All right, so three main topics we're going to talk about tonight is phototherapy, detox, and parasite removal. These, again, I have studied all of these for a very long time, and I could speak hours and hours on each of these topics. So I'm excited to share them with you tonight. So let's get in presentation mode. And here we go. Okay, so I am Dr. Tiffany. For those of you who haven't met me, my name's Tiffany Flock, and I am a cutting edge biohacking naturopath. So, what my goal is to find out all of the things that God originally intended for us to use to help us live long and live well. Okay. I work virtually with my clients. I don't have a brick and mortar, which is really a blessing because I can work virtually with people all over the world, and I do from the comfort of their own home. So, a lot of times people get the white coat syndrome when they have to go into a doctor's office, and you get to stay at home when you work with me. And a lot of times people meet with me in their car if they're dropping off their kids. So, it just makes it really easy. I specialize in antifungal and yeast-free nutrition, lifestyle, digestive health, food sensitivities, detoxification, autoimmunity, and emotional wellness. All things that make up the whole person. For those of you that are interested, you can feel free to take a screenshot of this. My husband and I have a podcast. It's called Original Intent Lifestyle, and we would love for you to join us. We are on Spotify, and you do not have to have a Spotify account to be able to tune in to us. This summer, we're actually doing a summer of stories. So, in our time of being married, we have been through a lot of stuff that we have learned life lessons that we believe can transform lives. And so, if you want to jump over, we have 2 seasons on there with lots of helpful information. Some of these topics that I'm talking about tonight, I actually go in a little deeper in some of those podcast episodes. So feel free to check that out. Okay, disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor and I don't want to be one. This information is for educational purposes only. I am a doctorate of naturopathy, which is a traditional naturopath. Okay, it's and nothing that I'm going to share with you tonight is intended as a substitute for a diagnosis, treatment of qualified or licensed medical professional. These are just facts and research that I have shared. That I have learned over 20 years being in the holistic space. I've also done all of these strategies on myself and my entire family. I have 4 children, and I do these things with all of us, plus all the clients that I have worked with since 2018. So, what is a detox? Detox, it's an informal noun, and it's the process or period of time in which one abstains from or rids the body of toxic or harmful substances. That is detoxification. And so a proper detox or a cleanse can vary in length, ranging from a single day to several months. Now, I know when you hear several months, that's probably freaking some of y'all out, right? Because I get it all the time. So we're going to go into it a little bit deeper because that's going to make it feel like a safer option for you when you understand it. The goal of a detox is to remove unhealthy foreign substances, toxins, as well as harmful bacteria, yeast, viruses from the body to help you feel and function better. Now, something you're probably going to hear me throughout this because harmful bacteria, yeast, viruses, all of those are harmful organisms, which the reason why sometimes you might hear me say harmful organisms is because I've kind of been programmed to say that because many years the FDA decided to slap the natural practitioners on the hand and say you can't say parasites. Now we've kind of gotten beyond that and we can, but I've been so trained to say harmful organisms, you'll probably hear me use them and use both of those so you'll know parasites, harmful organisms, exact same thing. Oh, I'm clicking over here. Okay. So, signs that you need a detox. Now, these are just a few signs, but these are the most common signs: unexplained fatigue, sluggishness, weakness, lethargy, brain fog, and trouble concentrating, mood swings, anxiety or depression, bloating and indigestion, aches and pains, which may be caused by inflammation, getting sick more often or getting sick often, skin breakouts, redness, and sensitivities. So those are just some signs because there's a lot more, and I'm going to show you here in a little bit what are some other signs, but that's just a short list. So a lot of times because of the social media craze, everybody's out there, do this 2-day cleanse, do this 5-day cleanse. It's a big viral trend that happens, but attempting a detox the wrong way frequently leaves people feeling worse instead of better. This is becoming all too common, and I often end up with people that I work with that have done this and they haven't felt well. And so when I say, "Hey, this is what we need to do," you can feel them like tense up, like I have to do that again. Well, I'm going to show you tonight, if you do it the right way, you don't have to tense up. You can actually be excited about detoxification and going through a season of that. So, between the pollutants in our environment and the waste products by gut microbes, it's no wonder people are eager to detox as quickly as possible. I mean, let's just be real. We're bombarded with toxins. They're spraying in the air, spraying on the ground. It's on our food. Like, it's everywhere. We really cannot get past all the pollutants. And so I completely understand how people want to remove them as fast as possible. But by forcing a rapid detox, it can backfire on you, which you don't want it to do. So you want to safely clear toxins from the body. But first, you need to prepare and support the elimination pathways. So we want to clear the way first, right? So think about it this way. Detox is just like a city trash collection. If every resident puts their garbage out on the street, like our garbage people come tomorrow, thank God, because this is what it would look like if not. If everybody put their garbage out on the street, but the city infrastructure isn't working to haul it away, you're just left with a pileup of mess, right? Similarly, when you start pulling toxins out, there's no place for these toxins to go, and they all pile up. But that could potentially exacerbate the exact symptoms that you're trying to alleviate and get rid of. So that's why this is what I'm teaching you is so important. So this, and if you're my client on this call, you have heard me refer to or even if you're my friend on this call, you have probably heard me repeatedly over and over and over talk about the body's drainage funnel, because this really is the root cause, in my opinion, and many other practitioners that I know. This is root cause right here. When you make your drainage funnel on the left look like a healthy drainage funnel. The healthy drainage funnel is exactly what God designed us to look like. Then on the right, that's an unhealthy drainage funnel. And you can see on the right how it's like bulging and it's spilling over, and there's all these little bacteria and worms in there. That is a place for disaster, a place where dis-ease takes place. So if you want to, we want to focus at what I call ground zero, the tip of the funnel. So the large intestine, or the colon, is at the bottom of the drainage funnel. If the colon is backed up, everything upstream from it can become backed up as well. That can happen with constipation, and that can be anytime you're not having 2 to 3 bowel movements per day, most days of the week. And most Americans aren't even having anywhere near that. And that's my story. That's what launched me into holistic health. As a young college student, I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome because I was having like one bowel movement like every 2 weeks. And for me, it was normal, but it was horrible. I mean, the brain fog, the feeling depressed, feeling bloated. Just if you've ever been constipated, you know exactly what I'm feeling that. And that was my life. And that's when I started researching and I stumbled into all of this holistic health and colon detoxing and all this stuff that I'm talking to you about today. And then, being able, my body actually functioning the way that it was supposed to, and a whole new world opened up to me. And so, majority of Americans, you probably know someone, if it's not yourself, you probably know someone who is not having 2 to 3 bowel movements per day. Not that you might be able to be talking to people about your bowel movements, which it's pretty important to do if you love them, because it really is the key to optimal wellness. So, when you're constipated, you're not efficiently removing the waste products from your body. So pushing detox, if you try to do a detox and you're not going 2 to 3 times a day, you're that all of those toxins that are need to come out are just going to reabsorb into the system and you are going to feel horrible. So you don't want to do that. So liver, this is the biological waste treatment. And so let me just, to keep me on track, let me go over here. So just above the colon and the drainage funnel are the liver and the bile ducts, which you can see right here. The liver is like the reservoir that collects wastewater from the entire town. The liver works to separate the water and the waste, and then the water can be cleaned and sent back into the house for reuse. As for the waste, the liver filters toxins from the blood and processes them for elimination. These are deposited into the bile. The bile is released through the common bile duct in the small intestines during digestion. Some of the bile is caught up in the stools and eliminated. That helps lower the toxin level in the body. Overall, it's a good system, but sometimes harmful factors disrupt it. And one thing that I like to do is just to help my liver process everything, and this is really good if you're an essential oil user, but I do lemon essential oil and water at least 2 glasses every morning, because that really helps the liver. It's just a daily habit that I do. So feel free to jot that one down. So let's see, are we going over here? Yep. Okay. So just like the drains in a home can get clogged, which we saw over here, so can the bile ducts. As a result, the toxins in the bile acids can stagnate and accumulate in the liver, potentially damaging the organ. On top of that, stagnation breeds sickness. If you're not moving toxins out efficiently, these toxins can contribute to chronic illness. Several factors can lead to the bile duct inflammation, damage, narrowing, and blockages. And some of these triggers, as you can see here, are like bacteria and viruses. Some of our big pharmaceutical drugs, certain antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, antidepressants, they can all disrupt the bile flow. Excessive estrogen, increased estrogen levels such as birth control, hormone replacement therapy may increase the risk of gallstones, which can lead to bile duct blockages. Parasites, which we're going to be getting to here in a few minutes, and then toxins like glyphosate. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with glyphosate, but glyphosate is Roundup, and it's sprayed on everything, almost. Even if you buy organic products to eat, it's likely that the glyphosate has traveled in the air. But a lot of times people don't understand. We all on this call probably know someone who struggled with infertility. And when I found out from this medical doctor over the past year that glyphosate or Roundup was originally studied to be a birth control in the 1970s. So that was its original form. They were studying it as a birth control, and then somehow, all of a sudden, they were like, "Oh, well, let's not do the birth control thing. Let's just put it on food." So when she said that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, no wonder so many people are struggling with infertility. Could be this, right? Because our body is absorbing it as opposed to eliminating it." Oh, oh. Okay. So the truth behind the symptoms, let me make sure. Okay. When the liver can't push bile into the bowels, right? So we're looking at the drainage funnel. So you want everything coming down properly, going out correctly. What happens is it opens a safety valve into the bloodstream. This sends toxic bile acid straight to the kidneys, the lungs, and the skin. So that's why it's important that we focus on the drainage funnel before we ever hit parasites. You've got to make sure that the colon's in a good place, the liver, the kidneys, and the bile duct before you ever go after parasites. The backup leads to the formation of free radicals and deep inflammation, damaging the duplicate lining and channels of the lungs and the kidneys. In the skin, these bile acids activate mast cell, which is immune cells that release histamine, and it can result in severe itching and inflammation. So it's very, very important. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into the hot topic, right? That everybody's been talking about because there's worms on our salad, there's worm on our produce. Well, guess what? There's been parasites around for since biblical times, right? This is not something new. You know, we worm our dogs, and in other countries, you know, it's something that they talk about, you know, making sure they're going through parasite protocols. You know, their country is talking about, except for in America, because we have to call them harmful organisms and not parasites. But this specific parasite that is in out in the world right now that everybody's focused on, that's on our food, it's not something new. It's been around for a long time. All of us health practitioners have it in our health databases as something, so it's nothing to be scared about. Is it not? I mean, is it something unpleasant to go through? Absolutely. Having a parasite in general is uncomfortable to go through. That's why you want to make sure that you do proper order and then parasite cleansing as often as possible. And there's many ways to do that, and I'm going to show you how. So, did you know over 60% of the population has some sort of parasite? Dr. Todd Watts, who is a doctor I've been learning from for a long time, where he was actually the one that came up with the drainage funnel picture. And when he shared about that, I was just like, you're exactly right. This makes so much sense. And it was like the light bulb went off in me. And that's why I've been just preaching it from the mountaintops. But he says most of his chronic patients have or had parasites. And he has healed people. Well, he hasn't healed people. He's helped people help their bodies heal from Lyme disease, some of these Hashimoto's, some of these things that people would say are incurable, right? Well, Dr. Todd Watts would have to disagree with that. There is no hierarchy or exclusivity in contracting parasites. No age, race, class, socioeconomic status, or geographical boundary exempts one from a parasitic infection. So it doesn't matter who you are, you can totally have it. So signs and symptoms. So I want you to just take a look if you want to take a screenshot of this, because many of these could be you, or many of these could be someone that you love a lot is having these. And it's probably like many of my clients, I've been to this doctor, this doctor, this doctor, this doctor, and nobody can tell me what's happening. And then I just work on helping them reset their own body. And all of a sudden, these symptoms and signs go away. So, was it a parasite? Well, maybe because they actually saw it come out. Maybe not because parasites are microscopic. But so think about this: abdominal pain, discomfort, bloating, chronic fatigue. I mean, I napped for 20 years, so I know exactly what that feels like, and it's horrible, and I never want to go back. Low blood sugar, muscle pain, nausea, teeth grinding at night, skin rashes and sores, seizures, vomiting, fever, eye inflammation, insomnia or trouble sleeping, nutrient deficiencies, autoimmune issues, anxiety, arthritis. So I just want you to take a second, and if I want you to close your eyes, and if any of these symptoms are what you're walking in right now, I want you to just take a second and I want you to think, what would my life be like if all of these symptoms were gone? So I just want you to take a second and just let your imagination go there. What would life be like if I wasn't tired all the time, or if I didn't ache? I would be playing with my grandchildren. I would be on the floor playing with my kids. What if your sleep was you slept like a baby? What would that be like for you? It would be life-changing because I know it was for me because a lot of these symptoms I had, and now I've overcome all of them and I feel like a much better person. And so that is absolutely possible for you. It's been absolutely possible for my clients. And I'm excited for that to be you as well. So, parasites tend to be more active at night, especially within the 10-day window of the full moon, which can spike a symptom. Let me start over. I was getting tongue-tied, which can cause a spike in some symptoms when people sleep. Still, symptoms may strike at any time of the day, and some are just ongoing. Some just constantly don't feel good. Others also realize that symptoms of parasite infection aren't always immediate. Some new infections cause digestive upset within a day. Others may not produce noticeable symptoms for longer periods, like even weeks. Some parasitic infections can drag on for years. And what Dr. Todd Watts has found is that's like Lyme disease, these severe autoimmune issues like Hashimoto's. A lot of those are just because the parasites have been embedded, and I'm going to show you that here in a few minutes. In addition, keep in mind that parasites are like a Trojan horse. They may harbor other pathogens such as mold spores, Lyme disease bacteria, and viruses. And they also can contribute symptoms. So it can make it really tricky to like get to the root of the problem for most practitioners. So the different ways that we can contract parasites, um, blood transfusions, food, other people, pets. One of the main, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the crazy cat lady. Well, it's because of a parasite called Toxoplasma gondii. And that particular parasite is in the kitty litter or the cat litter, and then they come and they put it on your pillow, and it is the one, well, there's several parasites that can pass the blood-brain barrier, but that's one literally that has been linked to schizophrenia. I mean, just some of these crazy disorders is all because the parasite passed the blood-brain barrier. And that's where you get the crazy cat lady term. From our soil, our surfaces, our toilets, and water, they're everywhere. So here is just taking a look at how it can affect, because sometimes, what I hear from people is, oh, well, I had a stool test and I don't have any parasites. Well, as you can see from this, there is not one test on the market that tests for all of the parasites that exist on the earth because some are so microscopic that you can't even see them. So you have to be able to go through different formulas so that the parasites cannot hide, and formulas that actually address all of these. Because they get in the brain, they can get in the eyes, like they can get in the lymph, the lungs, the liver, the intestines, the muscles, the blood, the joints, the skin. They find their way into all of this. And so that's why it's just really important for us to take a season and take care of ourselves. Again, going through the drainage funnel is very important before you ever hit a parasite cleanse, because if you start, again, parasites let off toxins as we begin to remove them, right? They die. They're dying inside of you when you use proper protocols. So what you want to do is make sure they're the toxins that are they're off gassing, their toxins, then come out. And if you're not going to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a week, they're going to reabsorb into the liver, into the skin. And, that's why sometimes people have Herxheimer's. I know a lot of you probably heard the term Herxheimer's. Well, that's, a detox reaction, and that's where it comes from. So if the colon and the liver aren't working well and you don't have a good binding agent, then those toxins are just running rampant. So that's why this is so important, and why, and a lot of times people don't continue in the detox process, those fast detox, the 5 day cleanse, the 10 day cleanse, whatever it is, because they don't feel good. Well, you might not be doing it properly, and that's why you don't feel good. So it should be where we feel good, we keep going. Okay. All right. So that's where, for me, this is what I recommend. And so typically, when you do a protocol like mine, if you're really wanting to go in depth and do it the appropriate way, and the reason why I wanted to show you guys this is because we talked about the drainage funnel, right? So in my protocol, the bowel mover, that's going to get your bowels moving. Step one, over here on the left, if you see the KL support, we're going to be supporting the kidney and the liver and making sure all the toxins are released from there while binding to it, making sure we have the minerals and the mitochondrial support at the same time. And you're constantly binding in every step. Each step is 1 month long. And I had one lady tell me, well, my friends are interested, but when I tell them it takes 4 months, they're just not interested anymore. Guys, we got to get free of the your way, right away. I mean, that's just not how life works. If you want to do something good, it can take time. So just submit to the process. It's that life, some things are easy and quick, and some are not. And if you want to make sure your body is resilient to harmful organisms and the toxins and the pollutants and all the things, you've got to do it right. And so here, and I think this is key in steps 2 through 4, you deal with harmful organisms and parasites. In each of these steps, you do different parasite protocols. And because, the reason why is because parasites, they're smart. And so they learn how to hide. They might, it might slim up into the liver or whatever because it knows how to hide from the formula. So that's why we do 3 months long of working on the harmful organisms with different products while supporting the mitochondria, because that's super key. If you don't have enough ATP production, you're not going to be able to detoxify, and you're going to not feel well either, because you're only as healthy as your cells. So you've got to make sure you've got that mitochondrial support. And it's going to lead me to the next thing that I'm going to talk about, to make sure the mitochondria is fired up. And then in step 3, we're going back. We're working on harmful organisms, but we're also supporting the kidney, the liver, the bile ducts, plus TUDCA does a bunch of other things, the hormones, the brain, all these amazing things. And then we're binding to viruses, radiation, and chemicals. And then in step 4, because sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I need a heavy metal cleanse. Well, I always say, well, don't do that first, because in my protocols, we don't even touch heavy metals until the 4th step, because the body's not ready. Heavy metals, when you start messing with heavy metals, some people have literally felt schizophrenic and had extreme depression and just crazy signs when you start messing with heavy metals. That's not something you want to do if your drainage funnel is not in a proper order. And so then we work on the lymphatic system. Again, the entire time we're supporting our mitochondria. So if you're interested in doing a detoxification with a parasite protocol properly, I would encourage you to reconsider not doing those 2 day, 5 day maybe as supports, but not those blasts. Because it can release so much stress into the body. Now, in talking about mitochondrial support, I recommend this to my clients. I've been wearing this technology, it's phototherapy technology myself for 2 years now, and so is my husband. And, at first, I didn't wasn't really thinking about bringing it into my practice until I put it on. And then the discomfort in my body went away and my energy level soared within seconds. So then I was like, okay. And I've done this detoxification protocols for years. I've almost been in practice for 10 years. And so this is, when that happened for me, it was huge. But let me talk about why I really encourage this particular, the X39 and the Eon in detoxification and removal of parasites. So addressing the drainage funnel and using specific phototherapy patches can be utilized to stimulate endogenous regulatory mechanisms. So that's your body's own mechanisms that it's doing. Two options that are backed by published research, summaries including the X39 and the Eon. And some of the stuff that our patent on the X39 talks about is that activation of stem cells, it elevates your body's own GHK copper peptides in the blood, your own antioxidants, reduces inflammation. So this duo right here is so super powerful when you are doing the detoxification season of your life. So the LifeWave X39 patch has been clinically studied for its ability to elevate endogenous, your own GHKCU, a vital copper peptide or copper binding peptide that acts as a master regulator of tissue resilience, repair, and inflammation. And if you want to go to thisisit.info.com, you can read, we have over 100 clinical studies on this technology. It tells you all about it. There's doctors that can give you all the information that you need. But to keep us focused tonight, I'm just kind of glazing over the good stuff. So mechanisms of GHKCU in the body. So as a master signaling molecule, GHKCU coordinates several vital physiological processes that are particularly beneficial during a parasite cleanse. So one of which is modulating the inflammatory response. So when you're clearing parasites, the immune system mobilizes and it releases pro-inflammatory cytokines to manage cellular debris. So when you've elevated your body's own copper peptide, it does not suppress the necessary immune response. Instead, it helps you regulate it, which is why I think my clients are just seeing crazy breakthroughs. They were seeing incredible breakthroughs before, but when I introduced this, it changed. It has changed everything for what they experience. So number two, accelerating tissue repair and remodeling, because it's helping with collagen synthesis. It's upregulating genes. Our clinical studies show that within a couple of days of you wearing the X39, 4,000 genes begin to reset themselves to a younger, healthier state. And so that's probably another reason why people feel so good as they're going through the process of allowing those toxin release, because this is just a reset, and then you're resetting and helping the liver and the colon and everything. And you're just like, oh my gosh, you feel like Superman or woman as the process begins to take place. Enhancing antioxidant defense, the discomfort of parasite die-off is frequently driven by an oxidative burst. So a process where immune cells generate free radicals to neutralize foreign antigens. So things like glutathione, so the X39 elevates your body's own glutathione by 30%. And that's super key when you want to reduce oxidative stress in the body as you're amping up your detoxification. So this is just really going to set your body up for success. A lot of times I tell people when we have our initial appointment, I'm like, start here. Start with the patches, make sure you're drinking enough water, then, and making sure you're going to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day, then we'll start working on the drainage funnel because those things are so key that your body will be completely set up for success. The relevance in a parasite protocol, and I'm coming to an end here in just a second. I know this has been a lot of information for you, so thank you for sticking with me. By optimizing systemic GHKCU levels, the body can maintain more regulated inflammation. So it's remodeling in your tissues and a more robust antioxidant defense. For someone going through a protocol, this physiological support frequently translates to reductions in die-off, faster recovery, and then more stable energy levels, mood, and stress tolerance. Now, there's been no studies or anything that shows that there's a direct correlation with anti-parasitic properties. What it's doing is just replacing foundational detox or you don't want to replace any of the detox strategies like bowel regularity, binders, mineral replenishment, liver support, and proper hydration. But what it's doing is turning the light switch on. That's why I tell people turning the light switch on in your body so that your body can heal itself, especially when you start eliminating toxins. Because when you start going through eliminating toxins, die off, things like that, you can get tired and your mood's affected. But we have found with the patches, especially the X39 and the Eon, because the Eon focuses on balancing out the autonomic system and reducing inflammation, both of those together, though you really only need the X39, but I like combining them both when you can, because that extra inflammation reduction just helps you just breeze through the process. All right, so now I'm going to stop my screen share and I am going to bring on Miss Kathy. I hope you're ready. So hold on. I am not I'm going to have to figure out how to allow you to start your video. So I'm bringing on Miss Kathy Firestone, hopefully, if her and I can do this. She is one of my former clients, and I asked her because I love, love, love sharing her testimony with people. And she wrote me a little paragraph on what my protocol and stuff has done for her. And so I just wanted her to come on and share the good news. Miss Kathy, I love you so much. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful. Pardon my appearance. I spent the whole day at a baseball game and we had a blast. But yeah, I'm not as presentable as I typically am. So thank you for hanging with me through this. But I was thrilled to hop on when Dr. Tiffany asked me. It was actually last year about this time, July, when I was so frustrated and had been dealing with a lot of the issues that Dr. Tiffany has talked about in this amazing masterclass thus far. Um, Things like the abdominal pain and the bloating and the constipation and the gassiness and some brain fog, not a ton, but some allergies. My seasonal allergies were out of control, and I live in Central Florida, so everything's blooming here 365 days a year, kind of like Georgia. But you guys get a little more winter than we do here. So there's always something going on, something blooming, and my allergies were just insane. And so the patches that Dr. Tiffany mentioned, X39 and Eon, I had been wearing those, and they had made a huge difference in my overall health and well-being. My energy levels had improved greatly. My sleep had improved immensely. The joint discomfort that I had been dealing with was all but alleviated after I started to patch after a few months. But my GI symptoms were still there. And so Dr. Tiffany and I became fast friends, and we were actually together. Our families were hanging out together at a picnic. And she said, I can help you with with the stomach stuff, with the GI stuff. And so I said, okay, I'm ready. And I had to get ready. And I understand that. So if you're on the fence and you're thinking, geez, do I really want to do this? 100 billion% yes, you really want to do this. You want to dive in. You want to trust Dr. Tiffany, and you want to commit to that 4 months. And like she said, 4 months, are you kidding me? That is a drop in the bucket compared to feeling great for the rest of your life. So while it may seem daunting, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So when I called her, and she was very straightforward with me, just like she's been with all of us tonight. This is what it's going to take. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take a commitment. It's going to take some trust and some childlike faith on my part to trust her and her expertise and to jump in, and to commit to that 4 months. And I am here to tell you, it has made an incredible difference in how I feel. All of those things I mentioned before, I no longer struggle with. In fact, my mom, who was a registered nurse for 47 years, she and I were hanging out earlier this week, and she was buying an antihistamine for her seasonal allergies. And she's like, "Don't you need some of this?" I'm like, no, I haven't taken an antihistamine in over a year. Over a year, y'all. That is huge. And I know it's because of going through this 4 month protocol, and having Dr. Tiffany as my coach and my naturopath, and just my first and foremost, my friend. And I'm so grateful to you and everything you've done for me. So um, the protocol works. It's a lot. I'm going to be honest. It's a lot. It's a lot of timing supplements at the right time, and it's making a commitment. But you know what? Our health is the most important thing, because without that, nothing else matters. Nothing. And so I want to be here for my kids. My two boys are adults now, and I want grandchildren, not soon, but in the future. And when they come, I want to be able to do all the things, right? I want to be an active participant in their lives. And so I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Tiffany, and for your love and your compassion and your knowledge and your expertise and your willingness to just be there. And even after I finished the 4 months, so just real quick, I had been hanging on to about 10 pounds that I could not lose. I tried everything. I was really good about watching what I ate. I exercised like a fiend, and it would not budge. And the first 2 months, 2 months into the 4 month protocol, I lost 14 pounds. Like, it just whoop fell off. It was incredible. So take the leap and trust this amazing woman that's been speaking to us tonight, because she knows her stuff, and her heart is for people and to help people be and feel their very, very best. So thanks for letting me come on tonight. Is there anything else you wanted me to cover that I didn't cover?
I don't think so. That was just incredible.
Okay.
I just knew what you had to say was going to bless people. And so I just thank you so much for being here. I know you've had a busy day, and I appreciate your encouragement, and I just love you, and I'm just so thankful. I
Aw,
just
love
love
you right
it.
back. My pleasure.
Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I am going to go back to sharing my screen. We're just going to finish up. I've just got a couple of slides left here, and then we're going to get to the Q&A. So I think we're going to present here. All right. So it's time to invest in yourself. The solutions are available now. So would you want those solutions later or sooner? Right? So tonight, because you are on, or if you filled out the form that gave you the Zoom link access to tonight, you are going to get a lifetime, as long as I'm with Cellcore, and all of this is called the foundational protocol, and all the other options that Cellcore has, you are going to get a 15% off discount. Now, for those of you that have asked me for the assessment, your 15% is already in there. So whatever you just will go, there will be an email that will come out. Also, I believe Coach Nate, if everything's working, he's going to drop the Soulcore link and some things in the chat that you guys can grab. You'll have the information also in the email when I send it to you, but you're going to get 15% off. That's the highest that Soulcore will allow me to give. So you can take advantage of it if you're interested in going through the 4-phase protocol. The good thing about Cellcore is each of these steps are 1 month long. The bowel mover is not included. So if you are not going to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day, you want to do the bowel mover first before doing any of that. Okay. But you can buy these 4 phases at once, so you don't have to pay for shipping every month, or you can break it up into step one, step two, step three, step four, and pay for it as you go. And it's already applied 15% if you desire to go through this. What I desire that people go through is the one-on-one virtual coaching with me. And that's that when you go through it with me first, having someone coach you through it really does matter because there's tips and tricks that you don't get when the kit will come to you and it'll have a little card in it. It will tell you what to take, when to take it, how many to take, but it doesn't give you the tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 10 years. So I really encourage you the first time, if you can, go through it with a practitioner that knows what they're doing with the tips and tricks. And then after that, if you want to do the kidney again, liver and kidney in a couple of months, you do it yourself. Now, you can do all of this because the instructions are in the boxes by yourself, but I do recommend one-on-one virtual coaching with me, and you can do it in the comfort of your own home. And then the other thing is definitely if you're not ready to dive into a 4 month protocol, I really would love to just make this a requirement in my practice that you have to patch if you're going to see me because the massive transformation that I have seen in my clients from people like Kathy, like during that window of time, I was working with someone else who was 15, 20 years younger than Kathy. And in 1 month, she lost 2 or 3 pounds. And Kathy's over here, losing 10 pounds. um, and so that's the difference. The metabolic support, the mitochondrial support that these patches do give you, there's nothing like it. And so this is the one product that I believe every single person on planet Earth should be wearing, except for if there's contraindications with a couple, if you have a transplant or you're on chemo, maybe not the X39, but I believe every person on planet Earth should be wearing this. So if someone who is already using the phototherapy has invited you to this call, then I would say get back with them because they'll help you get the wholesale price. If you are on this call and this is the first time you've ever heard about phototherapy and you're not sure what it is, but you're like, I want to get started right away, because it will help you detox, whether you go through my protocols or not, with the glutathione, the mitochondrial support, the metabolic. I mean, hello, ladies, those of us that need that metabolic support, this is it right here. And so if you don't know anyone, I am more than willing to help you. You can respond to the email and we can get you started right away. And everything is in the chat. I just heard my assistant back there saying everything is in the chat. You can reach out to me, you can text me, you can call me, you have the number. But that would be step 3. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure to meet with you. So if you guys want to hold on, I'm going to stop the recording and we'll get to questions. Let's see.